There is something happening to you right now, and you haven't fully named it yet. It's subtle, quiet, almost invisible, but you feel it, a shift beneath your normal life, a silent transformation that has been unfolding for months. The person you were 6 months ago, you can barely recognize them now, and what's even stranger, the world that once drained you is slowly losing its grip. This isn't random. You didn't find this message by accident. Something in you aligned with it. The shift you can't explain. Lately things feel different, don't they? Not in a loud, obvious way. Not something you can easily point to or explain to someone else. But something inside you has changed. You've become quieter. Not because you have nothing to say, but because most things no longer feel worth saying. You've become more selective about where you go, who you spend time with, what energy you allow into your space. Conversations that once felt normal now feel empty. Forced, repetitive, draining. You notice patterns you didn't see before. Fake laughter, hidden tension, unspoken competition, and suddenly, you don't want to participate anymore. Crowded places feel overwhelming now. Not physically, but internally. It's like your mind can't filter the noise the same way anymore. Every voice feels louder. Every emotion feels amplified. And certain people, they feel heavy, not because they've changed, but because you have. Their presence lingers longer than it should. Their words drain more than they give. Their energy stays with you, even after they're gone. And then there's the exhaustion. Not the kind sleep can fix. Not the kind you recover from in a weekend. This is deeper. A quiet, constant fatigue that sits beneath everything. Like your system is working overtime. Even when you're doing nothing. You tried to explain it. You tried to ignore it. At times, you even thought something was wrong with you. Maybe you're becoming too sensitive, too distant, too disconnected. But that's not the truth. This is not a breakdown. This is not you losing control. This is not you falling apart. This is transformation. Something inside you is restructuring, recalibrating, letting go of what no longer aligns, and it doesn't feel comfortable. Because growth never does. You are not becoming weaker. You are becoming precise. You are not withdrawing from the world. You are outgrowing it. And whether you're ready for it or not, the process has already begun. You are not falling apart. You are being rewired. Your energy is restructuring. What you're experiencing right now is not random. It's not mood swings. It's not burnout. And it's definitely not weakness. It's a deep internal recalibration. Something beneath your surface is reorganizing itself. Your mind, your body, your awareness, they are no longer operating the way they used to. They are shifting into a new pattern, a new frequency. Before this change began, you were absorbing everything, and you didn't even realize how much. Other people's stress became your stress. Their emotions became your emotions. Their chaos became your internal noise. You were like an open receiver, tuned to the entire frequency of the world. Every room you entered, you felt it. Every conversation you had, you carried it. Every environment you stepped into left a mark on you. You adapted to it. You normalized it. You learned to function inside it. But now, something has changed. Quietly, gradually, but permanently, your internal signal is rising, and as it rises, it starts rejecting what no longer matches it. This is where the discomfort begins. This is why things that once felt normal now feel unbearable. Noise doesn't just annoy you anymore. It disturbs you. Fake energy doesn't just feel off, it drains you. Drama doesn't just frustrate you, it exhausts you instantly. You can't sit through what you used to tolerate. You can't pretend like you used to. You can't engage the same way anymore, even if you try. And that confuses you. Because from the outside, Nothing has changed, but inside, everything has. You are becoming incompatible with low-frequency environments, not by choice, but by design. Your system is rejecting what doesn't align. Your awareness is filtering what once passed through unnoticed. Your energy is protecting itself automatically. This isn't you becoming sensitive. This isn't you becoming difficult. This isn't you losing your ability to handle life. This is you evolving beyond what used to control you. You're no longer built to absorb chaos. You're being rebuilt to withstand it, and eventually, to rise above it. It's not sensitivity, it's evolution, the birth of Untouchable. There comes a stage in this process, a quiet, almost invisible threshold, where everything begins to lock into place, not all at once, not in a dramatic moment, but gradually, like a system finalizing its transformation. And when it happens, you feel it. A shift in how you respond, a shift in what reaches you, a shift in what no longer has power over you. And in that moment, you become something rare, not cold, not distant, not disconnected from the world, but something far more powerful, untouchable. Not in the sense of isolation, but in the sense of stability. You don't shut down emotionally, you don't lose your ability to feel, and if anything, you feel more clearly than ever before. But now, you are no longer controlled by what you feel. You are no longer pulled into every emotion, every tension, every wave that passes through your environment. You are grounded, centered, unaffected. This is what energetic protection actually looks like. At this level, chaos can't hook into you. It tries, but there's nothing to grab onto. Negativity can't stick. It passes through, like it was never there. People can't drain you, because there is no open door left inside you for them to enter. And the most important part, you didn't achieve this by fighting. You didn't argue your way here. You didn't defend your energy with force. You simply outgrew the frequency that once controlled you. There is no resonance anymore. And without resonance, there is no attachment. Without attachment, there is no impact. This is the shift most people never reach because it requires letting go, not just of others, but of the version of yourself that kept matching their energy. Now, something inside you has stabilized. Your reactions have slowed. Your triggers have weakened. Your need to engage has disappeared. You observe more. You react less. You feel without absorbing. And that changes everything. Because the world hasn't become less chaotic. People haven't become less dramatic. The noise hasn't disappeared. But your relationship to it has. You no longer absorb the storm. You no longer become part of it. You stand in it, completely present, completely aware, and completely unaffected. This is the moment where everything shifts, not outside of you, but within you. This is the birth of someone who cannot be easily shaken, someone who cannot be easily drained, someone who cannot be easily controlled. This is the moment you become untouchable. Why people start reacting to you. As you change, those people around you will feel it, even if you don't say a word, even if you don't explain anything, even if you try to act the same that before. They will notice, because something in your energy is no longer familiar to them. And the truth is, they won't understand it. They won't have the language for it. They won't be able to explain why they feel different around you. But they will feel it. Some will say you've changed, not as an observation, but as an accusation. Some will feel uncomfortable around you, like your presence disrupts something inside them. And some will try to pull you back into old habits, back into old conversations, back into the version of you they were comfortable with. Why? Because your presence exposes their state, without trying, without effort. Without intention, you become a mirror. Your calm reveals their chaos. Your silence exposes their noise. Your discipline highlights their lack of it. Your clarity makes their confusion impossible to ignore, and that reflection is uncomfortable, not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're no longer matching them. Before, there was harmony in similarity. Now there is tension in difference, so they react, sometimes subtly, through distance, sarcasm, or passive comments, sometimes directly through criticism, guilt, or pressure. But understand this clearly, it is not about you. It was never about you. It is about what your evolution forces them to see in themselves. And this is where most people fail. They feel the pressure, they feel the resistance, and they shrink. They dim their light. They soften their growth. They silence their truth, just to restore comfort, just to be accepted again, just to avoid conflict. They go back to who they used to be, even when they know they've outgrown it. But you can't, not anymore, because something inside you has already shifted too far. You've seen too much, you've felt too deeply, you've experienced what it's like to step beyond that version of yourself. And once you cross that line, you don't belong on the other side anymore. Even if you try to return, it won't feel right. It will feel forced, heavy, out of alignment, because deep down, you know the truth. You are not who you used to be. And no matter who reacts, no matter who resists, no matter who tries to pull you back, you've already crossed the line. The power of your presence. Something else is happening, quietly, beneath everything. It's not loud. It's not something you announce. It's not something you try to show, but it's there. Your presence is changing, not your words, not your appearance, not your actions on the surface. Your presence, the way you carry yourself, the way you exist in a space, the way your energy enters a room before you even speak. You've probably noticed it. You don't feel the need to talk as much anymore. You don't feel the urge to explain yourself. You don't feel the pressure to prove who you are, because something deeper has settled inside you, a quiet certainty, a grounded awareness. And when you walk into a room now, something shifts, not dramatically, not in a way people can immediately point out, but they feel it. Conversations slightly change, energy subtly adjusts, attention moves without effort, because you are no longer reacting to the environment. You are no longer scanning the room for approval. You are no longer adjusting yourself to fit the energy around you. Instead, you hold your state. You remain centered, regardless of what's happening around you. And that does something powerful. It stabilizes the space. Where there is tension, your presence softens it. Where there is chaos, your presence grounds it. Where there is noise, your presence creates silence. Not because you're trying to control anything, but because stability naturally organizes instability. This is real power, not the loud kind, not the kind that demands attention, not the kind that forces dominance, but the kind that doesn't need to prove itself. Internal authority, the kind that comes from being rooted in yourself, so deeply that nothing external can easily move you. You don't chase control anymore, because you don't need it. You don't need to dominate conversations. You don't need to win every interaction. You don't need to assert yourself to feel strong, because your strength is already established within, and people feel that, even if they can't explain it. This is the shift from external power to internal power, from reacting to holding, from absorbing to stabilizing. You're no longer a participant in chaos. You don't get pulled into every emotional wave. You don't get entangled in every situation. You don't lose yourself trying to manage everything around you. You see it, you understand it, but you don't become it. You've stepped into a different role, not the one who reacts, but the one who observes. And in that observation, there is control, there is clarity, there is power, because the one who is not controlled by the environment becomes the one who quietly shapes it. This is the power of your presence. From struggle to flow, Everything felt hard, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, constantly. It felt like you were always pushing against something invisible. You had to force progress, force conversations, force opportunities to happen. Nothing came naturally. You chased outcomes, you chased people, you chased moments that never seemed to fully arrive. And even when you did get what you wanted, it felt temporary, unstable, like you had to keep fighting just to hold it together. That was your old state, a state of resistance, where everything required effort because your energy was out of alignment with what you were trying to create. But now, something has shifted, subtly, quietly, but powerfully. Things are starting to align differently, not perfectly, but noticeably. The right people begin to appear without you searching for them. The right ideas come to you at the exact moment you need them. The right paths open without the same level of struggle you were used to. And it feels strange at first because you're not used to things working with you. You're used to fighting for everything. So when things begin to flow, your mind questions it. Is this real? Is this temporary? When will it go wrong? But this isn't luck, and it's not coincidence. It's alignment. You are no longer operating from resistance. You are no longer forcing yourself into situations that don't match you. You are no longer chasing what isn't meant for your current state. Instead, assume you are moving in sync with yourself. And when your internal state aligns, your external reality begins to respond. Because reality doesn't respond to effort, it responds to frequency. And your frequency has changed. You've stopped trying to control every outcome. You've stopped clinging to every possibility. You've stopped forcing things that don't naturally fit. And in that release, something opens, a different way of living, where things don't feel so heavy, where movement feels natural, where progress feels smoother. This doesn't mean there are no challenges. It means you're no longer in conflict with them. You don't resist the process, you move with it, and that changes everything. Because when you stop resisting, you stop creating friction. And when friction disappears, flow begins. You start noticing synchronicities, perfect timing, unexpected opportunities. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because your relationship with it did. You're no longer chasing reality and trying to bend it to your will. You've stepped into something more powerful. You've become aligned with it. And when alignment takes over, attraction replaces effort. You don't run after what you want anymore. You become the version of yourself that naturally draws it in. This is the shift from struggle to flow, your new identity. Here's the most important shift of all, the one everything else has been leading to. You are no longer your past, not your mistakes, not your failures, not the decisions you regret, or the versions of yourself you've outgrown. Those were moments. They were phases. They were identities you once occupied. But they are not who you are anymore. For a long time you believed they were. You carried them like weight, like proof of limitation, like something permanent that defined your ceiling. Every time you tried to grow, those old stories pulled you back, reminding you of who you used to be. But here's the truth most people never realize. Reality doesn't respond to your history. It doesn't care about what you were. It doesn't operate based on your past. It responds to your current state. The version of you that exists right now, in this moment, is the only signal being read. And right now, your state is changing. Not slightly, not temporarily, fundamentally. You are stepping into a version of yourself that no longer operates from lack. A version that doesn't beg for validation, because it no longer questions its own worth. A version that doesn't tolerate low energy, because it recognizes what drains it instantly. A version that doesn't lose itself in others, because it is no longer searching for identity outside. This is where the real separation begins, between who you were, tous, and who you are becoming. Because this version of you is different. It doesn't chase approval, it doesn't over-explain, it doesn't shrink to fit into spaces it has already outgrown. It stands quietly, firmly, without needing to announce itself. And that's what makes it powerful. You are no longer externally dependent. You don't rely on reactions to feel secure. You don't rely on attention to feel seen. You don't rely on others to define your position. You are becoming self-contained. And that changes everything. Because when you become self-contained, you become stable. When you become stable, you become unshakable. And when you become unshakable, you become free. Free from needing validation, free from emotional dependency, free from the constant pull of external influence. You still interact with the world, you still connect, you still feel, but you are no longer controlled by any of it. Your center is no longer outside of you, it's within. And once that shift happens, there is no going back, because you can't unknow what you've become. You can't return to needing what you've outgrown. This is your new identity, not something you're trying to build, but something you're finally stepping into. You are no longer becoming this person. You already are. The final lock-in. This isn't a one-time moment, not a sudden breakthrough that happens once and then stays perfect forever. This is something deeper than that. This is a new baseline, a new way of existing that slowly replaces everything that came before it. Yes, there will be moments where you drift, moments where old thoughts return, old emotions resurface, old patterns try to pull you back into familiar reactions. That part doesn't disappear overnight, because those patterns were practiced for years. They were conditioned into your system, repeated, reinforced, normalized. So naturally, they will try to come back. But here's what has changed. They no longer have control over you. Before, when you drifted, you stayed there. You got pulled into the emotion. You reacted without awareness. You became the pattern without realizing it. But now, there's a gap, a moment of awareness, a quiet recognition that says, this isn't me anymore. And that changes everything, because now you can return, not perfectly, not instantly every time, but consciously. You can bring yourself back to your center, back to your state, back to your control. And every time you do that, something strengthens, not just mentally, but internally, so structurally. You are reinforcing a new way of being. You are teaching your system what normal feels like now. And the more you return, the easier it becomes, the faster it becomes. What once took hours starts taking minutes. What once took days starts taking moments, until eventually the drift becomes smaller, the pull becomes weaker, and your center becomes stronger than anything trying to move you away from it. This is the real transformation, not perfection, but stability, not never falling, but always returning. Because your power is not in avoiding the drift. Your power is in your ability to come back, again, and again, and again, until one day, you don't have to think about it anymore. It becomes automatic, natural, effortless, your default state. The old patterns still exist, somewhere in the background, but they no longer define you. They no longer control your reactions. They no longer shape your reality. Because something new has taken their place, a grounded presence, a stable awareness, a centered identity, and once that becomes your baseline, it locks in, not as a temporary phase, but as who you are. This is the final stage, where growth stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like identity, where awareness becomes instinct, where control becomes natural, and where your center becomes permanent. You've been in this process longer than you think. The confusion, the isolation, the internal pressure, it wasn't random, it was preparation. And now, you're at the threshold. This is the moment where you stop questioning and start becoming. You are no longer the person searching for answers. You are the one becoming the answer. If you felt this, don't ignore it, because this message didn't find everyone. It found you. And if you're ready to fully step into this version of yourself, type, "I am ready," not for me, but as a signal to yourself.